Social security. While Labour wants a society in which people care for one another, the Tories are trying to pitch us against each other. Under the Tories, the social security system has lost sight of its purpose. Poverty has become endemic. The glue that binds our society together has come unstuck and, in the words of the United Nations, the UK's social safety net has been deliberately removed and replaced with a harsh and uncaring ethos. The cruelty and heartlessness of the Tories has made the Department for Work and Pensions, DWP, a symbol of fear. When people feel that DWP is more about harassment than a helping hand, something has gone seriously wrong. Labour will completely change this culture, replacing the DWP on day one with the Department for Social Security, which will be there to help and support people, not punish and police them. We will put our children at the heart of everything we do, developing a cross-governmental national strategy for childhood, focusing on health, security, well-being and poverty. We will give effect to the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. Universal credit. The Tories' flagship social security programme, Universal Credit, UC, has been a catastrophe. It has pushed thousands of people into poverty, caused families to lose their homes and forced parents to visit food banks in order to feed their children. Labour will scrap UC. We will immediately stop moving people onto it and design an alternative system that treats people with dignity and respect. Our ambition in designing this system will be to end poverty by guaranteeing a minimum standard of living. We will start developing this system immediately, but we have learned the lessons from Tory failure. Major policy change can't be delivered overnight, especially when people's lives depend on it. So, we will also implement an emergency package of reforms to mitigate some of the worst features of UC while we develop our replacement system. We will end the 5-week wait by introducing an interim payment based on half an estimated monthly entitlement. We will immediately suspend the Tories' vicious sanction regime and ensure that employment support is positive, not punitive. We will stop 300,000 children from being in poverty by scrapping the benefit cap and the 2-child limit, so ending the immoral and outrageous, quote, rape clause, unquote. We will pay childcare costs up front so that parents aren't forced to turn down work or get into debt to pay for childcare. Labour will protect women in abusive relationships by splitting payments and paying the child element to the primary carer. We will make it easier for people to manage their living costs by introducing fortnightly payments and paying the housing element directly to landlords. The Conservatives' digital-only approach is excluding vulnerable people. Labour will end the digital barrier and offer telephone, face-to-face and outreach support. We will recruit 5,000 additional advisors to deliver this. Tory cuts are pushing people into rent arrears and leaving them at risk of homelessness. We will stop housing costs running away from benefits by scrapping the bedroom tax and increasing the local housing allowance. Disabled people. Labour stands with and for disabled people. We will always challenge stigma and discrimination wherever it is found and support the right of disabled people to live independently and be treated with respect. The Tories' rhetoric of scroungers and skivers has whipped up hatred of disabled people, with disability hate crime skyrocketing up 37% in the last year alone. Labour will never demonise disabled people or the unemployed. Labour follows the social model of disability. It is not people's condition or impairment that disables them, but society's failure to adapt to those conditions and impairments. We are committed to removing the barriers constructed by society and ensuring that disabled people can participate fully and equally in our society. The Conservatives have created a hostile environment for disabled people who have borne the brunt of Tory cuts. The United Nations has said that the Tories have systematically and gravely violated disabled people's rights by denying them the support they are entitled to. Labour will end this hostile environment. We will give effect to the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and amend the Equality Act to reflect the social model of disability. We will stop dehumanising work capability and PIP assessments, which repeatedly and falsely find ill or disabled people fit to work, and make sure all assessments are done in-house. Social security is meant to help disabled people cope with the additional costs and disadvantages they face. But the Tories have cut back that support to inadequate levels. Time and again, disabled people have had to fight through the courts to receive the support they are entitled to. Labour will make sure people who are ill and disabled receive the support they need to lead full, independent lives. We will increase employment and support allowance by £30 a week for those in work-related activity group. Raise the basic rate of support for children with disabilities to the level of child tax credits. Ensure that severely disabled people without a formal carer receive extra support to enable them to meet the extra costs they inevitably face. We will support those who look after others, increasing the carer's allowance to the level of the job seeker's allowance. We will help disabled people who want to work by bringing back specialist employment advisors, introducing the government-based Responsible Adjustments Passport scheme to help people move between jobs more easily, and reviewing support for disabled people at work, including the Access to Work scheme. Pensions. People work hard for most of their lives and deserve a decent retirement free of financial stress and insecurity. Under the Tories, 400,000 pensioners have been pushed into poverty, and a generation of women born in the 1950s have had their pension age changed without fair notification. This betrayal left millions of women with no time to make alternative plans, with sometimes devastating personal consequences. Labour recognises this injustice and will work with these women to design a system of recompense for the losses and insecurity they have suffered. We will ensure that such an injustice can never happen again by legislating to prevent accrued rights to the state pension from being changed. The Conservatives have repeatedly raised the state pension age despite overseeing a decline in life expectancy. Labour will abandon the Tories' plans to raise the state pension age, leaving it at 66. We will review retirement age for physically arduous and stressful occupations, including shift workers in the public and private sectors. We will maintain the triple lock and guarantee the winter fuel payment, free TV licences and free bus passes as universal benefits. Thanks to automatic enrolment, which was introduced by the last Labour government, record numbers of employees are now in workplace pension schemes, but too many people were still not saving enough for a comfortable retirement. We will stop people being auto-enrolled into rip-off schemes and seek to widen and expand access for more low-income and self-employed workers. We will establish an independent pensions commission modelled on the Low Pay Commission to recommend target levels for workplace pensions. We will create a single, comprehensive and publicly run pensions dashboard that is fully transparent, including information about costs and charges. We will legislate to allow the CWU, Royal Mail Agreement, for a collective pension scheme to proceed, and allow similar schemes. Labour has listened to the NUM, and in government will end the injustice of the state taking 50% of the surplus in the mine workers' pension scheme and introduce new sharing arrangements so that 10% goes to government and 90% stays with scheme members. This new sharing arrangement will also apply to the British Coal Staff superannuation scheme. We will ensure that the pensions of UK citizens living overseas rise in line with pensions in Britain.